just checking in with you. How are things situated as y'all get ready to open the season here on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, we're excited. We didn't play throughout the preseason and stuff like that, so there's a lot of juice and excitement for us to go out there and play as a unit for the first time and display what we've been working on throughout spring and training camp and all that good stuff. So excited.
Coach said, I don't need to see Jessie base tackle. He kind of knows you can do that. So how do you deal with that approach that, hey, I don't have to go out there. I got to, get ready, learn the stuff. And,
yeah.
beat the guys, too, from your pick.
Yeah, I mean, from a perspective of, like, just trying to get yourself ready for a game, obviously practice never does that. I mean, you can, replicate the game simulations and stuff like that, but you got to be able to come into practice, come into work every day and put yourself in position to make a tackle. Put yourself in a position where you're tracking them, and then you can kind of simulate yourself putting your chest on this, thigh board or whatever it is, putting your position to make, plays on the ball, all that good stuff. So I think Rod does a good job of, protecting us as players, with our health. But yeah, there's still a part of it where you got to be a pro and be able to practice like a pro.
And schematically, could you discuss the changes there and the vast personnel changes you all will be presenting on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's some of the similar stuff. I think I said this during training camp. I mean, everybody has their form of cover 4, their form of cover 3. It's just the certain, techniques that's a little different. We're excited to finally display that as a group. Obviously, you don't show everything during preseason and stuff like that, but we're excited to really show what our style of play will be this Sunday.
Jessie, kind of bouncing off that question, since you've been here, you've played for 3 different defensive coordinators this year, obviously with Jeff Ulbrich. Kind of a 2-part question. Number 1, how difficult is that as a veteran player to have to learn, different systems? And 2, what has been your biggest takeaway from Jeff's defense so far this offseason to give you optimism for this year?
Yeah, I would say I don't look at it as a bad thing. Obviously, I want guys to be around. I don't want to have a new DC next year. I want to have Brick for sure. But it helps you expand your knowledge of, like I said, there's different ways to play different coverages, but they're all very similar, and it helps you, understand people's different philosophies. And then you got someone who's played in the league and at a high level for 10 years. So, it's a little different when you got somebody that's been in your seats. I think the teaching is a little bit different with Brick, and just his presence, man. That's one thing I've been really impressed with is the person that he is and the way that he's, explaining our style of play. He lives by it. That's what he does day by day. I don't know if you guys know much about him, but, I mean, he's going through things at his house, and he never shows it. And it just says a lot, and it's easy to play for a guy like that, and I can't wait to display that this Sunday.
What does Brick's mantra of heart, mind, fist mean to you?
Yeah, like I just said, it's almost a lifestyle. He was joking around last year, guys at the Jets, some guys got it tatted on their body. They embraced it so much. So it's a reason why they were, top 5 defense over there for, the last, 3 years I think it was, because I really think that he emphasizes the connection and, playing for one another is way more, deeper than any type of scheme, any type of cover 4. I think that's what really separates, good defenses and great defenses when you're able to, make it your own. And then at the end of the day, the fist part of it is like you gotta own that part. And us as a defense, we got to be that representation for our whole team, not just for our defense.
Jessie, go ahead.
Can you understand, even this early on, like why some of his former players did tattoo it on them?
Absolutely. I'm bought in. I go home talking to my family about it, and he just puts everything into life perspective. It's not just all about football. And like I said, when you got somebody that's been in your shoes and he understands it, like it hits a little bit different when it's coming from him.
Jessie, with having seen the Bucs a few times now in your time with the Falcons, what do you anticipate offensively? What might be the same or what might look different with some of the weapons they've added?
Yeah, I think it'll be a similar scheme. Obviously, they got a lot of their guys returning, as far as their skill guys and even up front as well. The scheme I don't think is going to change. Obviously, there's a new OC there, but similar. He comes from a similar background, so I don't think much things will change. I think Baker probably has a lot of say-so over there. He's a hell of a player. I've known him since I was in Cleveland, and he was in Cleveland, I was in Cincinnati, and I always been a fan of that dude. And to watch the way his career has gone, people kind of threw him off. Nobody was worried about Baker, and then he rises back up, and I knew that he's a gamer and got a lot of respect for him. So a lot of things won't change in their offense just because of the experience and with Mike Evans on the outside, the chemistry there. I'm sure that doesn't change. So obviously they got a new guy with the rookies, the fast kid, Tez, and then the other kid from Ohio State. I think you'll see a little bit more of them, but similar scheme for sure.
Jesse, what are the challenges of being on a defense that has 4 rookies that are going to play a whole lot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously there's things that there's going to be a first time of them seeing this type of stuff, but I feel like throughout training camp we were kind of preparing them like, hey, you young guys, y'all gonna make some critical plays and y'all gonna play some critical snaps. So I think Rod and those guys did a good job of implementing that and putting that urgency on them throughout training camp that, hey, like you may see new things, but you got to be able to trust your rules and be able to, like I said, make this defense our own. And when things aren't exactly how it says on the iPad, like you just got to be able to work through it. And some of those young guys, it's going to be their first time in an NFL jersey for the playing for real. And it's up to the leaders to kind of lead those guys along as well. So I know this league's hard, man. It's hard, and everything's not going to be perfect. So just talking to X and those guys and just having that understanding of, hey, it's a long season, long game. But as long as you continue to prepare and be consistent in that aspect, I think they'll be just fine.
How would you kind of assess the 2 secondary guys, Bowman and Watts so far?
Yeah, I think Terry and those guys, they did a hell of a job of bringing those guys in. You wouldn't think that they're rookies, the way they process the defense and how quick they were able to come in and understand, what we're doing. There's a reason why they're the starters. So very excited for those guys. I'm excited to lead those guys and just continue to build, and I think we'll have a special group for sure.
Does it make you nervous in any way, having so many rookies in critical roles as the veteran guy back there who's probably in charge of herding them all up and getting everybody up?
I wouldn't say nervous. Like I said, I got a lot of confidence in those guys of what they've shown. And then as myself being a leader, it's my job to make sure those guys are prepared. So if they're not talking out there on the field, they won't talk in the game. So it's just calming those guys down. I think it's the first time, you're getting these real installs and these real first and second down, third down. And I think now everybody's starting to calm down. All right, it's Thursday. Let's settle down. Like, all right, we got our calls in. And I think that's the biggest thing, just making sure you're talking to those guys throughout this whole process because, like I said, sometimes this thing can get pretty long as far as our meetings and how detailed these meetings are in real season games. It can be challenging. And like I said, it's up to our leaders. And I think we got hell of a leaders on front, from the D-line perspective for Walk and James, and even on the back end, me, AJ, Mike. Those guys will feel comfortable come Sunday.
You mentioned
I'm sure it's an ongoing thing, but in terms of like gaining the confidence or having the confidence in some of those younger players, like what is it for you that makes you feel like, oh, okay, this guy gets it. I can trust he's gonna be in the right spot. Is it something in the film room? Is it something like communication on the field?
Yeah, it's definitely. I would say it's a majority, meeting room. When you're able to go up there and we're all watching the same tape and making sure that we see the same things and we're making the same calls, I think that kind of breeds confidence. And usually communication breeds confidence. It makes you feel comfortable. All right, I got my guy here. I know where the weaknesses are. So there's a lot of confidence. Like I said, these guys it'll be their first time out there, but what they've shown throughout training camp has really impressed me. So I think they're good.
Did those have to do anything during camp at all? Like last year, the rookies had to do like the conspiracy theory, like PowerPoint. JD did that. Anything this year with those guys?
No, they're just showing up. They bring some Chick-fil-A, to the meetings and make sure we're all fed in there, and we just give them the knowledge.
You
Good
said
trade-off.
earlier that you're excited to kind of show the style this defense is going to display this year. What style is that?
I guess you got to wait and see. We talked about working in silence. There's not much I can say, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. But I feel like us amongst our group, I think we kind of know what we're going to be, and we can't wait to display that.
Are there any, on the first couple of series, because y'all haven't faced another first-team offense, are there any less than obvious things you're going to be looking for from your teammates that will indicate to you, all right, we're on the same page, we know what's going on?
Yeah, I think, the first, 15 plays are usually kind of getting settled in. The offense is trying to figure out how they want to, attack us, and 11 personnel, 12 personnel, whatever it is. So, things pop up that first couple snaps. I feel like Brick's doing a really good job of letting us settle in that first couple plays, and then, after that, the ball just rolls, and then you get, you see how they're trying to attack us, and you make adjustments on the sideline. So, as much as it's on our players, it's for our coaches as well to make adjustments throughout the game. But yeah, like I said, I think we have supreme confidence in everything that we're doing.
It said it was an emphasis on improving the units and bringing guys in to like Mike Ford to help you out. What was the emphasis on that over the offseason, and who some of the personnel guys you are going to be counting on to hold some of those Tampa guys back that you just mentioned?
Well, the emphasis every offseason is to make our roster better when it comes to our overall roster, offense, defense, and special teams. So we're always looking to bring in the best players that are for us that are smart, fast, physical, have great attitude, play with great technique. Just so happens some of the guys are coming back here, Mike Ford and Felipe Franks. Those are guys that they played here before, and I've had previous history also, too, with Mike Ford in Detroit. And then you talk about guys like Jamal Agnew. But there's guys on the roster that have been here already, like the D'Angelo Malones, the Josh Woods, those guys, the DeMarco Hellams, D. Alfords, all those guys, they've done a great job. And it's cool in our room because, Raheem talks about on all three phases what it takes. And I look and we say is whatever it takes. And when you talk about our rosters, whatever it takes for us to go out there, put the best 48 on the field and win games. So there's going to be guys that play on offense and defense that play significant reps on offense and defense, but they still play on special teams. And our guys do a great job of understanding that it's a privilege to play on teams. They don't have to play on special teams. They get to play on special teams, and they know that phase at that particular down is the most important down to help us win games. And it's happened throughout my career here with the Falcons, and it's a big testament to our players and our coaching staff putting that together.
And Jamal, question on Jamal, he had the leg fracture and then the oblique last year. Is he back and healthy and ready to go? And could, I know he ran a little feedback for you in Detroit back in the day.
I really don't talk about injuries, but we're very excited to have Jamal here. He's a dynamic dual returner. He has the rare trait that he's been an offensive and defensive player in the NFL. He started off as a DB and then made the transition COVID year as a receiver. Just so happened he has return ability too, both punt and kickoff return. He's been great for the room. He's been a leader in that room. He leads by example. He puts in the work day in and day out. So it's been a privilege to work with him. Very excited for him to be on the field. But we're excited to see him, perform and put his best foot forward. And it's been a privilege to work with him.
Marquice Bradley Pinion was named the captain the other day. What is it about Bradley that the other guys kind of are drawing him?
One, he has a wealth of knowledge and experience. He leads by example. I'm not surprised that he's a captain. He's been a captain before. He was a captain in Tampa when they won the Super Bowl. He does a great job leading by example. He's very personable. He does a great job, too, of connecting with the locker room and connecting with the players. And he's a very selfless individual when it comes to what he does as a player and what he does as a man. And he leads by example day in and day out. So I'm happy for him, and we're excited to get going this season.
Felt like last year they changed the kickoff, and it was going to bring back the kickoff, and it didn't really. So now we've adjusted it a little bit, and Jamal seems to think that that tweak is gonna make a big difference, and it's going to be more dynamic than it was a year ago. Do you sense the same thing, that the difference in the touchback rule is gonna dramatically change what we saw last year?
Yeah, they're trying to incentivize returns. We found out last year that the play is more safe than the previous kickoff play because they took off 25 yards of running. But there is a lot more space on this play, and everybody's still learning and growing. You know, last year the touchback was a 30-yard line, and then the minor touchback was a 20-yard line. Now that the big touchback, we call it major touchbacks, at the 35, so it's 15 yards of field position. And you saw in the preseason with some of the kickoffs that we had, if that ball goes in the field of play and lands in the end zone, that's a 15-yard difference the differences between two touchbacks. So with that, incentivizing, more returns, it goes back to D-Led's question about core players, like having those guys to maximize the 48 and having guys cover kicks, because as a coverage unit, that's that first play of defense. As a return unit, I look at it, that's the first down of our offense. So what can we do to help our offense, help our defense, to, one, have better field position, put points on the board? So I think there's going to be an uptick on returns and covering kicks. And, our guys are excited, and they look forward to the challenge as a coverage unit and as a return unit.
Raheem called D'Angelo Malone a barnyard bully on special teams earlier this preseason. What makes D'Angelo such an asset on that unit?
And he's one of the tone setters for our units. We talk about speed and physicality. I mean, that's what you talk about is D'Angelo Malone. From the time he came out of Western Kentucky, watching him at the Senior Bowl, just watching his violence that he plays with, his upper body violence, with striking with his hands, being fearless when it goes to taking on blocks or making blocks. And he's just a football player. It just so happened he's a linebacker. And you can see his versatility in the preseason, playing both inside and outside. And that versatility shows up on special teams. So you see the type of speed that he plays with, the physicality that he plays with, the versatility, and then the athletic ability is off the chart. So he's one of those guys that, he makes my job easier as a special teams coach, because we could put him in a lot of different positions that create different matchups.
What's it like for you as the special teams coordinator when a player who makes the team because of his special teams abilities and whatnot, but starts to be used in different ways, in this case defensively, like when they started moving him inside and capitalizing on that versatility? Does it kind of make you proud almost?
I'm excited for those guys, because nobody comes here thinking hey, I'm coming here just to be a special teams player. Special teams is pretty cool because you have offensive players playing on the same field on the same play with defensive players or specialists. That's what makes the play special. So those guys, when they come here, I want those guys to get more reps on offense and defense. Just so happen, how are you going to do it? Everybody's journey is different. From guys that I've coached before, like Austin Eckler, all the way to the Felipe Franks, the Mike Fords, the Josh Woods, the D'Angelo Malone, the Eric Harrises of the world. So all those different guys, they've had their different journeys. And you put Cordell Patterson, he was a special teams guy, and then he ended up being a big ball carrier for us for a couple of years. I want the head coach and the coordinators come off as hey, we have a bigger role for him this week. And it's showing because of what he's doing on special teams. And it's just a way for those guys to show that they're not just an offensive player or a defensive player. They're not just a linebacker. They're not just a DB. They're a football player. They're on plays where we're trying to have direct attempts to score points or direct attempts to try to take the ball away and control field position. So those moments are awesome. I want what's best for our players, and whatever it is, whether they're playing 50 to 60 reps on offense or defense, or they're playing 30 reps on special teams. And I want those guys that, one, not only represent the Falcons, but represent their last name and make their teammates, their family, their loved ones, everybody proud, themselves proud.
What have you seen from Youngway during training camp, just in terms of his mentality of kind of getting back to, I think, the things that he should show he's done?
Yeah, last year is last year, but he has the mentality. Y'all good? Do the fake cough. I'm messing. That's what they do. That's what players do. Yeah, just messing with you. All good. But to answer your question, his mentality is mentality. Sometimes when things will happen, when things don't go your way and you're process driven, you don't stray away from the process. You always try to improve your process, but you don't stray away from it. So just staying locked into the process, how he goes about his business, it's been great to see. Sometimes the ball doesn't go your way when it comes to certain things that you do. Doesn't mean you wholesale change everything that you do, but he's healthy, he's ready to go. He's been great out there. He's making great contact on the football. Now it's just for us to go up on Sunday and show up. That's all it comes to each and every week. Can we be the best versions of ourselves, collectively and individually?
Yeah, back to Jamal. He said, hey, you know, it's a lot of room back there. There is more, the kick's going to be more directional, not hang time. But he said there was going to be 2 people back there.
Mm-hmm.
What does that schematically do for you to have, you know, not knowing which one they're going to pick? Do you cross them? There'll be some scheme, I guess, to where the guys go.
Yeah, so like, you know, last year with the new kickoff rule, you got to have 2 guys back there, you know, a maximum of 2 returners. So the value of having returners on your roster is at a premium because you can't just have a returner and a backup returner. You technically like 2 to 3 more backup returners, which again, we've done a great job here, starting with our, you know, scouting department, making sure we have returners here, and we have multiple guys you guys saw in the preseason that can return for us. But it's critical. That play is critical because it's more critical than a punt return. Because if the ball's punted, D-Led, we punt the ball to you, and you don't catch it, that ball's dead. Like they just touch it down, and we have the ball next play. And that's the most important thing as a return unit. We have the ball next play. On kickoff, once that ball goes into the landing zone, that ball is live, even if it goes into the end zone. So if they were to kick a touchback and it landed in the end zone, D-Led, you got to run back and get on it and take a knee because that ball is live. And they could turn that into points. So field position and points are critical in making the right decisions. Is the ball near the sideline? Do I need to put my foot out of bounds? Do I need to catch it with forward momentum to try to steal yards? Do I hit the hole? You talk about the space on the field, right, D-Led? Our job is to create space as a return unit. And it's the returner to make sure that he surfaces on the other side of that hole. That hole's going to open and it's going to close. We got to make sure we surface on the other side of that hole and turn that into a first down or a touchdown. So that play is critical. There's going to be space on there, and teams are doing a great job covering with this play. I think the average field position last year in coverable kicks was the 29-yard line, around the 29.6, I believe. So they're trying to get that up a little bit more, which field position is going to be big when it comes to this play. So having a holding penalty or forcing a holding penalty in that play, D-Led, is going to be big field position for that defensive unit as they go into the field and kind of put the offense behind the 8 ball. So we got to be clean with our fundamentals and our technique as a return unit, and we got to be violent with our fundamentals and technique as a coverage unit to force penalties.
I want to give your mentor, Joe D, a shout-out over in South Carolina for that punt return.
That was cool. You know, I learned special teams from Joe D. 2013, 2014. I interned at the Bill Walsh minority internship with the Chicago Bears, and I was able to take 2 of my kids to the game and my brother to the game, and that was cool to see those guys execute at a high level. They were close to blocking a couple of kicks. They made some field goals, made some key plays on punt, and then, you know, they had the illegal formation, V-Tech did, and Joe D got them to re-kick, and then I want to show the guys that I'm probably going to show it to them tomorrow. Just the clean blocking on that play. The spring that it was an 8-10 ball game, 1-score game, and because of special teams, South Carolina opened the game up, and momentum is real. Whether you're high school, college, Pop Warner, or pros, momentum is real, and that was a big play. You talk about an 80-yard punt return to give them a 2-score lead, and then they get a stop, and then they add on to it with a big play on offense. So, you know, Joe D, he's been a mentor to me. He's been great, and I continue to learn from him, and you know, he's at South Carolina doing his thing, and his best days still yet to come in his profession.
Now that you've had Lenny here for an entire preseason, how much potential does he have, since he is such a rookie, to develop and have a long career in the NFL?
When you talk about potential, Taryn, a lot of times it's like, one, like the person you're working with and how you're growing, do they believe in you? And then, like, what's your experience? He hasn't been kicking for that long, but to me, experiences, are you willing to be exposed to things and grow from it? And he's done a great job of just learning and growing. Our room is awesome. We talk about Stephen King, our special teams assistant. You talk about Koo, Bradley, Liam, all those guys have been all hands on deck. They've welcomed him with open arms. And then I give a huge credit to Liam, too, having the willingness to grow. Because as you grow in this profession, sometimes you don't have all great days, but are you still staying process-driven? That's what we saw at the Combine with him, Taryn, and he continues to grow and he continues to get better. And I thought he had a great training camp, and I thought he had a great preseason. And it's a blessing to have him back in the building and be part of our team and continue to grow and get better. And I know once his opportunity presents itself, he will be prepared. And that's all we can ask for, just staying prepared, staying process driven, and then whenever that opportunity presents itself, he'll be ready and he'll excel.